Thank you very much, everybody. Right, 10 to 7, we have David and John from the Halswell Residents Association. Good to see you, young fellas.
Thank you, kia ora, and we'll refer to the young fellas in just a minute. So kia ora, I'm David Hawke, Treasurer of Halswell Residents Association, and I'm standing in for Adele Gerards, who's our Secretary, and her Halswell-based company has just finished running an event at Te Pai, so I thought you might be glad to know that it's being used. And obviously with me is John Bennett, who's our Chair. Now, coming back to our Mayor's reference, we had a look at the agenda for today's hearings, and we actually struggled to read our submission, and many others too. But perhaps it's just as well that most of you are young and with very good eyesight. Yes. But before we get into our submission in detail, something that you probably won't know, but just to let you know, is that we had the funeral for Ron Fensom, who was our founder, and he passed away, and we had the funeral just over a fortnight ago. So Ron put his heart and soul into Halswell, and we have all benefited. We hear a narrative doing the rounds that community input is just a nuisance and of no value, but the Halswell domain, its well-used playing fields, its skate parks, its model engineers' facilities would not be there had Ron not doggedly persisted in his advocacy through our association. It's worth pointing out, however, that this commitment for the city's benefit actually came at a cost. At his funeral, his son noted that they didn't see much of Ron as he grew up. He was too busy with the Halswell Residents Association. Anyway, to our submission. So there's a bit of kicking the can down the road here that we want to pick up. So firstly, is the upgrades to Nottingham Stream, which has a project number 69267, which is proposed to route Nottingham Stream through a retention basin system. As a background there, that affected area is actually Old Halswell, so it's drainage from 1960s housing. So that project would help clean up the contamination that inevitably follows urban development before that stormwater goes to Huratini Halswell River. City Council has worked really hard on Otakaro Avon River and Apawaho Heathcote River, where there are really cool projects playing out. And Huratini Halswell River is actually really important too, hydrologically, ecologically, culturally. So we think you need to give it a similar priority and not delay those upgrades. But what we want to spend more time on is Project 917, which is the public transport priority lane from Curlet's Road to Wrights Road. So again, there's a proposal to kick the can down the road on that, and we absolutely strenuously oppose that delay. Bit of background, Halswell Road and Lincoln Road is the primary route from Halswell to the central city. It's also important for through traffic from Selwyn District, and Selwyn District is very busy, sending more traffic our way from their new subdivision in Lincoln and people from Prebleton trying to avoid the Springs Road logjam. Can tell from the project number it's been around a long time. And in fact, Council either implicitly or explicitly signed up to this work when they decided to do suburban sprawl in Halswell and duplicate key infrastructure rather than develop former industrial areas close to the central city. We said that back in 2012, but nothing happened. We've been told that you're concerned about the loss of the government contribution to this project. There are 3 points here. Firstly, had that project been done when originally scheduled, you would have had to collected the government contribution. Secondly, the implication in delay is that central government will stump up with a contribution after the next election, and we think that is somewhat naive. Even if there is a change of government, they're going to have their hands so full of infrastructure projects, the chances of this one making it through are essentially zero. And finally, construction costs are almost certain to go up substantially, even if there is a government contribution. It's also worth pointing out that delaying the spending on that section actually devalues work that you've already done through Addington Village, and the money put in by central government with essentially no contribution for the section along State Highway 75 that's currently under construction. Also devalues the imminent increase in frequency of the Halswell Queen's Park bus, which is an ECAN initiative and ratepayers have contributed to. We already have enormous lines of cars and full buses along State Highway 75 and Lincoln Road, and the delay you propose will create a bottleneck at the section that you are proposing to delay. It's also worth noting that that postponement actually runs against your transport strategy that you've only just approved a few weeks ago. There's more on that in our submission. So our request is that you complete this project as originally scheduled in the long-term plan. It's also worth pointing out a little bit that a lot of the issues in Halswell are growth issues, and we think that that is often not really fully appreciated around the council table in many ways. And Halswell Junction Road is a good example of that at the moment. So thanks for listening. Kia ora.
Thank you. Tyler, please.
It was a great submission. Thank you so much for that. I've just got a question around the services, changes to services, and the services that you value the most. And in that you said you don't want to see any service cuts, especially not for libraries or swimming pools. But the interesting part was we need more dog control officers, park rangers, and customer-facing staff. Could you elaborate a bit more on that?
I think the general thing is, rather than being a definitive list of the more staff that are needed is this, and nothing else, it's just an illustrative list that shows the breadth at which more services are needed.
Yep.
And I think some of those do have, they have very strong Halswell links, because the dog control officers, there's a lot of issues with dog control in Halswell. Parks, we've got big parks areas, we need more parks and so on. But it's an illustrative list rather than a definitive list.
Got you. Because you have quite a strong person to dog ratio in Halswell in comparison to other wards, correct?
I think there's one of these things that you can actually never have enough. It's just an issue. The thing that you have to remember too is that Halswell, in terms of dog walking, is not just Halswell people. It's people from all over who come to our area, which is fine. We try to welcome visitors, but it's it isn't. Yeah, I think that the statistic that you quote is a bit misleading, really.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
I couldn't agree more with you with that little bit of Lincoln Road that's going to be a bottleneck. I'm not quite sure how long it is. It'd be 200, maybe 300 metres long, wouldn't it? It's not that far.
It's not huge. I think it's a wee bit further than that, but yeah, it's not huge.
Yeah, with the amount of money that the government's spending at the Halswell end and what we've spent at the other end, we shouldn't lose sight of that. So it's very good you brought us to our attention. And otherwise, a lot of money there, and a bit in the middle, and you can't use it. So thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we would say it's worth pointing out that area is actually not in Halswell Ward, but it is directly affects the people in Halswell. It's in Councillor Coker's ward, I believe. No, that's fair comment too. So but it's common sense. Yeah, isn't it? Absolutely. So that's good. Yeah, Aaron.
Yeah, have you done, because I've seen the buses running out to Halswell and they're kind of packed to the gunnels, so you can't put any more people on them, but obviously you'd like to see more buses. But that aside, have you done any surveying of your residents to say that aren't currently using the bus that said, look, if you put it in the bus lane, we'll use the bus?
Yeah, it's a while ago since we did some surveys like that, and yeah, I can't remember how the results sort of panned out on that. I think that we actually went and collected data rather than people who are not using the bus who would use the bus. We actually looked at the loading and where people were getting on and where people were getting off. So, yeah, I think what you're saying is a really valid question, and it would be worth us doing some more work on. Absolutely.
Probably too, if we had park and ride, we would see a lot more people using the buses.
Yes.
And at the moment we're seeing around, and we've mentioned it before, around the medical centre in Longhurst. And I was there today, and all the parks are locked up. People have left their cars there and jumped on the bus. But we're not really providing for that.
Right.
And the other is the frequency of the buses, of course, is going from 15 to 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Shortly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we used up time, but it doesn't matter. Andre, and then you're the last one.
Oh, I just wonder if you might like to add that this project isn't just about bus lanes, that there's the bottleneck for motorists when they get from Halls Road onto Lincoln Road at the Curlett's corner. So this impacts motorist travel time.
Yeah, absolutely.
As
And
well.
it's
It's not just buses.
Everyone's travel time.
Yeah, and there's a section of cycleway as well that connects up to the Norwest Arc. So it's actually multimodal, any delay in that. And it's already been consulted on. So it's ready to go.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time and effort. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okie doke. So we have Marie, please.